President Donald Trump has issued his most forceful warning yet to Tehran: make a deal or face a second wave of military strikes, unlike anything Iran has experienced before. Speaking publicly and through his social media accounts, Trump made clear that if the current round of negotiations fails to produce a binding agreement, the United States will escalate to a new phase of military action, one targeting Iran's power infrastructure. The plan, as described, would involve the systematic destruction of power plants and electrical facilities nationwide, cutting off electricity to weapons storage sites, military installations, and critical underground tunnel networks where Iranian missiles, defense systems, and military leadership are believed to be sheltered. Experts warn that such strikes would not only plunge those facilities into darkness, they could prove fatal to the soldiers and commanders operating within them. Despite the gravity of the threat, Trump has signaled a willingness to return to the table, dispatching a U.S. delegation, led by the Deputy Secretary of State, back to the negotiating room. The window, however, is narrow. Trump has stated that talks will last no more than 48 hours. If no agreement is reached within that time frame, he warned, the United States will have no choice but to resume hostilities at a scale and intensity, in his words, that Iran cannot imagine. Iran, for its part, has not yet confirmed whether it will send its own delegation to participate in the second phase of talks. The U.S. has arrived at the negotiating table with a sweeping list of demands. Among the conditions Washington is imposing on Tehran, the unconditional reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, the complete abandonment of Iran's nuclear weapons program, the cessation of all support for militant groups across the Middle East, and a permanent ban on the development of intercontinental ballistic missiles. The militant networks Iran is being asked to sever ties with include Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, Hamas in Palestine, the Houthi movement controlling large swaths of Yemen, and armed factions operating out of Iraq, a constellation of proxy forces that Tehran has cultivated and armed for decades. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian pushed back firmly, declaring that Iran will never surrender its right to produce the weapons it deems necessary for its own defense, particularly given that at least one country in the region is already believed to possess nuclear warheads. Though he stopped short of naming Israel directly, the implication was unmistakable. The international community's resistance to Iran stems from a specific and deeply held fear, not merely that Iran itself would deploy such weapons, but that they could be transferred to the very militant organizations it sponsors. In the hands of non-state armed groups, analysts warned nuclear or radiological weapons could trigger catastrophic and uncontrollable consequences, including the potential for mass casualty events numbering in the hundreds of thousands. Israel, which maintains an undeclared nuclear arsenal of its own, views any Iranian nuclear capability as an existential threat, particularly given that Iran's proxy forces have consistently targeted Israeli territory with long-range missile strikes. On the ground, the situation at the Strait of Hormuz has continued to deteriorate. On Saturday, April 19th, Trump took to social media to condemn Iran's actions in the waterway directly, accusing Tehran of behaving like a pirate state, blocking ships, demanding payment for passage, and firing on vessels that refused to comply. He warned that American patience has run out. That same weekend, Iranian Revolutionary Guard naval forces turned back at least 2 tankers, one flying the flag of Botswana, the other Angola, that attempted to enter the strait without authorization. The IRGC issued a blanket warning. Any vessel transiting the strait without Iranian clearance risks being intercepted and forced to retreat. The attacks on commercial shipping have not stopped there. On Saturday, April 18th, 3 ships were struck in or near the strait. Among them was an Indian-flagged vessel carrying cashew nuts, hit by an IRGC missile and left burning. The attack drew an immediate and sharp response from New Delhi, which declared it will now directly confront Iran over its violations of international maritime safety. India's position is clear. Iran has no legal right to treat the Strait of Hormuz as its exclusive territorial waters and deny free passage to international shipping. Iran disputes that position entirely, asserting sovereign authority over the waterway and insisting that all passage must be approved by the IRGC. The Strait of Hormuz is not merely a regional flashpoint, it is one of the most strategically vital choke points on the planet, handling up to 20% of the Asia-Pacific shipping network. China is by far the largest beneficiary, with roughly 40% of its energy imports transiting the strait daily. India accounts for approximately 14%. Any prolonged closure sends economic shockwaves far beyond the Middle East. That reality has added a new dimension of urgency to the diplomatic standoff. But analysts are not optimistic. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has stated publicly that the United States must first withdraw all naval forces from the Strait of Hormuz before Iran will consider any agreement credible. Washington has shown no indication it is willing to do so. For President Trump, this round of negotiations represents a final test. The 14-day ceasefire, brokered by 3 nations, is set to expire on April 21st. Iran's attack on a tanker over the weekend has already been characterized by the United States as a violation of that ceasefire. If the talks scheduled for the coming 48 hours collapse without a deal, analysts say the path back to the negotiating table may no longer exist. What comes next, they warn, will not be diplomacy.